I just spent 2 days in Las Vegas with Alex Hormozi, Leila Hormozi, and their acquisition.com team at a scaling workshop for my business. But before I dive into what you get when you pay for Alex Hormozi's time, I want to first talk about the things that I applied from his and Leila's free content over the last year to 9x my business revenue, build a team, build a culture, and kick off my personal brand. The first thing that I did after reading $100 million offers was to change my offer and start to running Facebook ads. Prior to this, I had a team of 2 and had only done cold email outreach for the first 3 years of running my chatbot agency. And that didn't seem to be scalable. I didn't yet have a social presence or personal brand, so I had to rely on paid traffic alone. But this 9x my revenue in the first 6 months, and at the same time revealed the first constraint of my business, building a sales team. Because I was the only one taking sales calls, and now we had too many booked calls. Once I started hiring sales reps, the next constraint was handling the volume of clients coming in, so scaling my fulfillment team, which in the space that I'm in is not easy. Just combining chatbots, AI, our own software, and a custom strategy for the brand that we work with is not easy. And you have to be highly technical, but also creative. So finally, with a team of 10 fully remote people across 4 different continents, the challenge was building a culture to hold it all together. And I made mistakes hiring, and I had to fire fast last year. It wasn't fun, but Leila's content around hiring helped me improve fast. More so, employee recognition was always top of mind for me. Shouting out team members every time that they did something that deserved a shout out, even when what they were being shouted out for was a part of their role description. That mattered a lot. And then praising in public and giving constructive feedback in private, and having regular one-on-one with each team member and constantly understanding what I need to do to help them grow professionally, help them hit their KPIs, but also learn about them as individuals and how to help them maintain a healthy work-life balance. And probably the reason I got at least good enough at this so far was because I've always been very self-aware of the culture that I come from. I've been living in Australia for about 7 years now, but I am Romanian. So I come from a cold East European culture that I had to actively work on letting go in the past 2 years. This is still a work in progress for me, but I am getting better every day. Another important piece I actioned from Leila's free content was product development. The product, aka our SaaS Plus service we have in place now, is not the same that we had in place 6 months ago, and it's not the same that we had in place 12 months ago. It's a constant iteration, and we're improving it based on our clients' feedback. When I first started this chatbot agency in 2019, I guessed what the market wanted. I put together a done-for-you concept and I started selling it. In time, I guessed a few more times what changes I could make to improve or productize the service, and I wasn't always right. Some decisions backfired because my guess was wrong, and that was not the change the market wanted to see from us. So listening to Leila's podcast, I rapidly put in place a product feedback loop. What that means is I would get on calls with each client and talk to them about what we've done well, what they loved about working with us, and what we didn't do well enough, or what else would they want to see from our product or delivery in order to be 110% happy. And all that feedback now goes into a backlog that my team and I constantly work on. My head of technology, that is 80% of his time, testing out new ideas, AI features, product development, but also the whole team has this as a part of their KPIs. And every Friday, we have a scheduled meeting called Innovation, where we sit down and improve our product and service. And then every 4 weeks, we go back to the product backlog and reassess. Is everything still relevant? Because the marketing landscape changes constantly. And what we thought to be relevant 4 weeks ago might not be relevant anymore. So we don't action every single thing in our backlog. We prioritize and aim to make the best use of our time at the same time. Finally, my personal brand. It all started after Alex's $100 million leads book. I already knew that I had to start building my personal brand sooner or later. I just didn't have the bandwidth nor a game plan. And truth be told, I still don't have the bandwidth, but I've committed to producing content, and so it's getting done. And because I followed Hormozi's game plan around putting out content, my Instagram grew nicely in the first few months, and I'm doing the same thing with YouTube. But what was mind-blowing to me was the fact that our paid traffic as a company became more efficient, because previously when a cold lead booked a call with my team, well, they were still a cold lead when they got on the call. Simply because if they looked me up or our company, there wasn't much content to consume about us or about what we do. But now leads come a lot more qualified on the calls with us, and if they've already consumed our content, they're 90% sold. And believe it or not, all this has been from me consuming and actioning free content from Alex and Leila Hormozi. Let's talk about the things that I learned by attending the paid in-person workshop with them and their acquisition.com team. And for context, I did try to get in with acquisition.com about a year ago, but I didn't have the numbers. So I was super stoked to submit my financials at the beginning of this year, get on a call with their team, and get to go to their scaling workshop. What they focused on in the workshop was, first of all, my business scorecard, understanding value adders, value subtractors, and current valuation. The takeaway for me was looking at value adders was that my revenue has been growing 200 to 300% year after year, which is great. But the value subtractor were, number one, the fact that although I'm currently building the leadership team, my business still has a key man risk, aka if I disappear tomorrow, the business won't run for long. So that will be a massive focus of mine over the next 12 to 24 months. The second value subtractor was having a single channel risk. So far, we've been 100% reliant on Meta ads, which is why we're now bringing on YouTube and Google ads on board. And thirdly, data risk. And this was a funny one. When Alex spoke about data and knowing your numbers, I felt pretty proud in my head thinking, I know my numbers, I should ace this one. And the first thing Alex asked, if I were to ask for your numbers right now, how many of you would scramble between pulling them from various Google Sheets? Yes, Google Sheets won't work, guys. Besides all these, I have to say I was proud of my fulfillment team when we went through analyzing the fulfillment and customer success, because we've already been doing 90% of everything their head of customer success went through. So that was a big win for us as a team. But thinking back, it wasn't just Alex giving me his personal feedback on scaling my product, or Leila sharing her thoughts on what my next steps should be in terms of team building, employee recognition, and hiring, but also being able to sit at roundtables and ask my questions to the head of sales, marketing, who happens to have built and sold 2 e-commerce brands, which is my exact target market. So incredible insights there. Or ask questions to their head of brand, the guy managing Alex and Leila's entire content team of 15 people. And another thing that I thought was very well put together was the fact that when they sat us down at roundtables with each of their head of department, they were careful to go through everyone's financials before they did that. So I sat at roundtables only with businesses that did 7 and 8 figures, and I didn't have to listen to 6-figure questions or problems because I've already solved those problems in my business. And this way, every discussion was highly relevant to me. So now I have a to-do list for my next meeting with them, which will be more intimate and focused on my business. I'm going back to Vegas for 1 day with Alex and Leila in a few months, because they've taken 7 businesses from this workshop. They will sit down with one-on-one and map out a value improvement plan. So subscribe to my channel and follow along my journey to 8 figures.